Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Facebook. Good morning, YouTube. Good morning, French Valley. Good morning, Temecula Valley. Holy smokes, we've got a heck of a show for you guys today.
Yes, we do.
I feel like this show should come with the trigger warning. Most of our shows should come with the trigger warning. Alexa, stop. Most of our shows should come with a trigger warning. This show is no different. We talk about human trafficking. We talk about politics. And unlike other morning shows, we offer our opinions because we're not sponsored. We're not on the teat somewhere. No one is paying for our opinions. So we offer them. And today is no different. So I guess let's say good morning, Zach Bach.
Oh my goodness. Trying to open the show.
Good morning, Kate.
Good morning, everybody.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about what we're going to be talking about on today's show. Of course, we're going to encourage you guys to send those real estate horror stories in. So please do that. We're going to talk about our nonprofit of the week, which is Help Heal Veterans, which is a local nonprofit right here in French Valley in Winchester. We're going to jump right in to local politics. Trigger warning. My hand's already shaking. Temecula City Council
I showed up this morning and I said, David, just prepare yourself for what I'm about to tell you.
Temecula City Council passed a massive overreach in government last night. We're going to talk about that here in a moment. But we're also going to talk about Murrieta's new waiver for gun permits for CCWs.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of mixed opinions about that. I've been seeing that on Temecula Talk and seeing it on French Valley. People are talking about it. Some people are frustrated. Some people are very excited. But either way, people are opinionated. And we encourage you, post your opinions. Let people know what you think about this stuff. We're going to have the Property Sisters on with us. They work out there in the high desert. They're a real estate team out there, great group. And then we're going to talk about desalinization and economic hitman. But you know what? Right now, let's talk about local politics.
Okay.
Can we just go ahead and jump right in?
David's so ready to just jump.
I feel like it's time to talk about it. So first and foremost, I'm frustrated. The city of Temecula, city council, you guys should be put on notice. Once again, massive government overreach in our private lives of homeowners. Unfortunately, we were in a situation where people like Senator Stone brought the HERO program. Again, a big, massive government failure, which has destroyed homeowner rights, made it so that they have to pay off these massive HERO programs before they can close escrow. And you could thank some of our local Republicans for that. That's so frustrating to me. So many of us are looking at Temecula like it is the Orange County answer that it was 20 years ago, that we are going to be this beacon of libertarianism out here, that good people are going to be able to get ahead. And I'm telling you, this is the wrong way to go about it. What we've done is we've shown exactly whose teat we're on, and I can tell you it's the hotel industry. So let's go ahead and Zach, talk to us. Or
Kate. The city council denies that all day long.
I was saying maybe we should just kind of preface this with what we're talking, like what it is that actually happened.
Yeah. So
Zach,
and I went
tell
to a few
everybody.
meetings, and one of the biggest things is they kept citing that. So short-term rentals was any rental defined as under 30 days. So essentially, all of your Airbnbs, your VRBOs, anything like that,
Your vacation rentals.
Nightly rentals, all that
anything where
stuff.
you and your family want to come and you want to rent a house and for vacation, opposed to renting.
Or if you close an escrow and you want a short-term rental.
Definitely getting there. Now, a lot of military members, they show up, they PCS, their house isn't closing for 2 or 3 weeks. They use a short-term rental because a lot of short-term rentals will allow pets.
Yeah.
So they can bring their dogs. There's only one hotel in Temecula that allow pets. How do I know that? Because I called them all.
It's the
because I had an escrow
La Quinta,
meeting
I think
there.
that
Exactly.
the La Quinta is the only
And so
one that does.
what Temecula decided to do was they keep saying, well, 5% of short-term rentals were bad rentals. But I did the math, and they're wrong. It's actually 1,000th of 1% had issues. 27 violations out of 328,000 nights available for rent. So they had 1,000th of 1%.
I can tell you that it is fuzzy math. We're very connected nationally on the VRBO, or what people like to call, what is this industry?
Short-term rental.
Short-term rental.
Nightly
Now,
rentals.
Jermaine Massey talks about this all the time, and what an income-producing opportunity it is for homeowners. And there are people talking in the chat group about how they are able to provide an income for their family through short-term rentals. And what the government wants to do is they want to get everybody on the tee. They want to make everyone an employee. They did away with contractor laws here in California. And so independent contractors are now going underground. And now they're making it so homeowners have less and less rights. and I'm really disappointed. So the city of Temecula, you have spoken out against homeowner rights. You have shown exactly who you were on the payroll for. If you are frustrated about the fact that the city of Temecula is determining how you can and cannot use your property, feel free to let us know in the comments, because we want to make sure that your voice is heard here by Real Estate Network Television, on the Wednesday Wake Up Live, because we're not bought by anyone.
What's amazing to me is you take, I don't know, 10 city council members, 8 city council members of a city of over 100,000 people, and they decided that they wanted to interpret a law how they wanted to interpret it, and say to property owners, no. And you bring it up. There was a gentleman who was in a wheelchair. He was disabled. He broke his back. If I remember correctly, he was a disabled veteran. And his Air BNB was how he was providing for his family.
Correct.
And they decided to strip him of his ability to provide for his family.
So it's very frustrating.
It's a very hot topic right now. I know that there's a lot of different homeowners associations that are weighing in. A lot of different cities are weighing in on this. I think, the nightly rentals and that whole industry, it can be very lucrative. And I think that that's why, with that money comes a lot of different problems sometimes, but it can also bring a lot of really good things to people. So it was kind of an overreach, and it's unfortunate. And hopefully we can kind of shed some light on this so that we can hopefully just let it be known that it's not okay.
So what we're talking about right now is we're talking about local government. We're talking about the City Council of Temecula has determined that vacation rental by owner is not okay in City Council and or in the City of Temecula. Now, I can tell you that what they want to do is they want to protect this property or the sales tax that's going to come in from all of the hotels and from all of the wineries, because what's happening right now in the hotel industry is that they are being put in a situation where they can't compete with vacation rental by owner. They can't compete with short-term rentals because it doesn't cost as much to staff all this stuff. And people can really determine what they want for them and their family, whether they are getting PCS, they're moving to a different duty station, whether they they want to come and see wine country, or whether they have just closed an escrow and now they need a place where they could live in temporary housing without being in a hotel, or without being mom and dad. And that's not what people want. And the City Council of Temecula has determined for you that that's not what's going to happen in Temecula.
And so we have a lot of people watching from all over the nation right now. If you live in a city and this ordinance hasn't come to your city, start fighting it now, because your city council can do the same exact thing, strip you of your property rights. Zach
went to multiple Temecula City Council meetings, and he was telling me that this was something that was coming for a while. I went to one with him, and it happened. It happened. So damn it. So that's a big thumbs down for the city of Temecula. But I will tell you this, the city of Murrieta did something else that is equally as controversial in a different way. I am a big fan of it. What they did was they made it so that the CCW permits are a little easier to get. They waived that the $228 fee. $298 fee. But to counteract that, what did they do, Zach?
They did raise taxes. But let's rewind. So the city of Murrieta actually had a streamlined process for getting your CCW. If you were a Murrieta resident, the usual in Riverside County, it would take 6 months to a year or more to get your CCW. It's a very long process. The city of Murrieta put it on a fast track, and they said, you know what? It'll cost you a little bit more money, but we're going to put it in a fast track where you can get your CCW in 1 to 4 months. Now, not only do they have the fast track, they're saying, well, we're also going to waive the $300 fee. Now, they did raise the sales tax 1%. The voters raised the sales tax 1%. This was Measure T that was voted on in 2018 in the city of Murrieta. But they raised their sales tax to match Temecula. Now, it is 1% higher. Now, that money is going into the general fund. It can be used for police, fire, and everything else. However,
you know what's so funny about all of those taxes that go into the general fund that are supposed to go towards, they're always saying the police department, and they're always saying the fire department, and they're always saying for the roads. And yet here we are looking at our roads and looking at our infrastructure. And yet here we are looking at a firefighter on the job who's always one injury away from losing everything. And so I'm wondering just exactly what all that extra sales tax went to and how much we would have to eat in order to let people just go ahead and get those permits without raising the taxes. But it's California, and we're always looking to raise the taxes for whatever reason.
What's amazing to me is we constantly talk
Sorry.
about in these
No,
cities
go
here in
ahead.
this area, always talk about we have understaffed police, we have understaffed fire, we have understaffed police, we have understaffed fire. And we're like, okay, well, you just raised the taxes. And one of the biggest platforms you raised the taxes on was saying this money is going to go to police and fire.
Mhm.
So where are the extra cops? If we raise the money,
Yeah.
why is it not going to the cops?
What were you going to say, Kate?
I was just going to say, I think that this would be a great time to invite these officials on to come talk to us. I think it would be really good to hear
Ooh.
their perspective.
I will call you up by name. Temecula Stew, come on the show.
So
Let's chat.
It
let's
would be
let's do.
interesting. I mean, I like to hear both sides of everything, and it would be interesting to have one of them on.
I'm always interested in it, but the thing is these city council members rarely want to hear from their constituents
Maybe.
or rarely want to have their voice heard by their constituents, which is why they're so rarely willing to show up for a lot of these things. I did show up to Assemblywoman Melissa Melendez. She's running for, seeing how we're on local politics. We do have the Property Sisters logged in the lobby right now. That's going to be starting
10:30.
at 10:30.
Yeah.
But I just want to let you guys know that that's coming here a little bit later. So make sure that you guys stay tuned for that. So let's take a quick shift here. So I went to Assemblywoman Melissa Melendez
Mhm.
and her town hall. And I felt like it was a very interesting experience.
I haven't even really heard much about this. Tell me
Okay.
about it.
So first off, I'm a fan of Assemblywoman Melissa Melendez, and I'm not a big fan of who she's hoping to replace, which is who was Senator Stone, who vacated his seat to do something else bureaucratic and governmental. Assemblywoman Melissa Melendez had a town hall recently out in Wildomar at the BFW, and she came out and was genuinely heard by everybody, which was a good thing. I think that she's great. She's of course a Navy veteran.
Yeah.
She was a linguist during the Cold War times and has been decorated. I think she's a heck of a representative. But most of the people that show up for these town halls, we see right through some of the government bull crap. And we really want to see some genuine change in California. And so there is a genuine disenchanted and disenfranchised feeling from the California voter because we don't feel like we're being heard, especially in areas where you're underrepresented.
Yeah.
And so, what do we do? How do we change this? How do we make it so that California is not a place where people want to leave because of? We're in Temecula, and Temecula City Council just passed this massive government overreach, and people are getting their taxes raised everywhere. And we just passed legislation on. No more independent contractors, and a lot of we've got rid of this gig economy, and so we're killing the economy in so many ways, and people are having a difficult time sticking around. People are leaving California.
The gig economy and the 1099 and the ABC rule. Amanda Todd was the person that brought that up to me 2.5 years ago. When I started looking into that. And it's amazing to me seeing, and I originally looked at it as, okay, real estate agents would be affected. And now I'm seeing the trickle down to where I'm seeing musicians are posting, talking about it's going to affect musicians. So that band that you want to hire for your wedding,
that's right,
they can't do it anymore. Or the DJ that you want to hire, or these other 1099, services.
What they want to do is they want to make everyone an employee. The state of California can't possibly wrap their head around the fact that not all of us want to be employed by someone. A lot of us enjoy the freedom that comes with being a contractor and being hired out and then having an opportunity to transition that into being a small business owner. That is the road, the pathway to entrepreneurship is in this contract work, and we're killing it. So saving California.
Yeah.
I would say, over the last several years, I've met with hundreds of people, hundreds of families saying, I'm done with California. I'm done with it for this reason, and this reason, and we're done. We're leaving.
This 2020 is supposed to be the year that we're going to have the most Californians leaving the state.
Isn't that interesting?
It
What's
has
scary
been
about
steadily increasing.
I talk to people like a house that I just sold, very affluent people, and they're uprooting and moving to Utah. And I've talked to other people who are they're multiple business owners. And I'm not talking like running a shop out of your garage. I'm talking about they own a business with multiple employees, hundreds of employees, and they're leaving California. So
it's a very interesting thing that's happening. And we've been very fortunate in that Amazon has some business going on here locally. We have some great local minds that are always innovative and willing to try new things. There's been a shift away from traditional retail shopping, which whenever something shifts, California wants to regulate the crap out of it. And what needs to happen is, instead of trying to regulate everything, we should allow individuals freedoms and opportunities to build and create something new. And unfortunately, what has happened is, because of this retail shift, a lot of people are now finding themselves out of work. They are finding themselves shifting into new lines of employment. And some people are looking at this as an opportunity to start a new business.
Yes.
But they're being killed before they can get their feet off the ground by the state of California.
What's amazing to me is people constantly, and it's usually people that enjoy raising taxes, they look at Amazon and they go, Amazon made $100 trillion and they didn't pay any taxes. And my response is always, well, good. How many people did they employ? How much sales tax? How much revenue was generated? How many drivers has Amazon now created jobs for? And I go, it's great that they're not being taxed, because they're going to stay in America.
Sure. Yeah.
And it's this constant well, they should be taxed.
Take a deep breath.
Yeah.
Zach needs to take a deep breath. I need to take a deep breath. We're just sitting here interrupting each other like crazy. People all over the world are triggered AF right now.
Well, it's understandable. We love this state. We want to stay here, but the taxes are so high and everything feels like it's so out of control that we feel like we have no choice but to leave, as so many retirees are headed out of state, and it's understandable. I wouldn't want to be retired and pay property taxes here.
Mona said that she agrees with everything that we've got going on here, except for this blue vest. But I don't care. We always get a couple of haters about my pink shirt, the way that how fancy I am, and that's okay.
This is Calvin.
I'm a bit of a dandy.
Since we're talking about clothing, I knew today was not a sock challenge.
Yeah,
but I don't want to
talk about socks.
No, I had to wear some socks.
I don't want to talk about socks.
I wore American socks today.
I don't want to talk about socks.
Very patriotic.
I don't want to talk about socks. I want to talk about what we're talking about right now. So, like I said, I met with hundreds of people, and this is what they say: I'm leaving for Utah. I'm leaving for North Carolina. I'm leaving for Arizona, Nevada, Texas.
That's the number one state that people are moving to as well.
Idaho.
They're going to Texas.
And they're leaving California for a number of reasons. And the fact is we're killing the economy out here but with all of this new legislation. But I am here in California to watch it burn. And I tell people that at my listing appointments. I tell people, I'm here in California. I'm never going to leave. I genuinely love this state. I love the people in it. I hate the politics, but everyone, if you pay attention to the history of California, immigrated here for a better life. Everyone came here for this promise that there was going to be something better. And then what we were sold was a lot of control and a lot of bullcrap and bureaucracy. And the people here in California are more likely than anywhere to rise up and stick it to the man, stick it to everybody. So we've got some comments out there. Agreed, 17,000 plus moved to Idaho last year. Yes. Prescott Valley is where I'm thinking of going. Now we've got somebody, Corey Lewis, love that blue vest and the paisley tie. You do you. Thank you, Corey Lewis. I appreciate you, handsome. See, look at that handsome profile picture in that sharp outfit. The handsome people always got me.
Always. Prescott Valley is very beautiful in Idaho, and I get why, cost of living and cost of housing is so much more affordable out of state. And it makes it hard because right here where we're at, we can be to the beach in 45 minutes. We can be to the mountains in an hour.
A couple of things that we could do to save California.
Yeah.
Stop voting for stupid stuff like the bullet train. Okay. Understand that we live next to the Pacific Ocean. Why are we not tapping into that for desalinization, which we will talk about here later in the show? Why are we not auditing California? They want to audit you all the time. Why don't we audit them? Let's find out where this money is going. I could tell you that that a lot of people are getting their pockets lined by that bullet train that never ended up happening. Where did that money go?
You drive up 99 and you just see it in the sky.
Where did it go? Where did that money go? And so that's a lot of money that we need to figure out where that went. We need to stop getting involved so heavily in taking money away from the number one employer in the state of California is the small business owner. The number one employer in the state of California. It's not Walmart. It's the small business owner. But what we're doing is we're taking away and we're taxing the small business owner into oblivion. We're taking that money as sales tax. And then we're subsidizing large corporations to come into our local economies because we say it's good for the economy. And then what happens is the local economy gets killed. So there's a new bit that I would love for everyone to kind of look into, which is the Dollar Tree and what they're doing to local economies. Of course, Walmart, but saving California is going to be complicated and it's going to be a big deal. And you can either bail and give up on California, you can leave, or you could stick around and you could fight for it. And I think that some things are worth fighting for, because what's happened is there's a lot of these people that are leaving California when they're finding just as worse elsewhere, if not, more worse. And so one of those is a client of mine, and I don't think that she'll mind that I brought her up. Her name's Christina, and she's out there and she's in Virginia. And right now you've got government working to take away guns in Virginia. There's a lot going on in Virginia. And the thing is we're all being entertained. And so, what is the solution when we're all so busy being entertained?
Yeah, a lot of these states are getting inundated too. And it's not, the Californians aren't as well received as I think that when we head out, because I've done this. I've done the out-of-state thing. I lived out of state for 8 years and came back. You're not as well received. People are like, you guys are coming, and it's not all the grass is greener on the other side when you get there. Sometimes, a lot of times you are saving a lot of money, but everybody that's kind of comfortable with, not these unpopulated areas and getting a bunch of Californians coming in and kind of soaking everything up, it's not as received as you would think.
What's interesting is my house that we sold in Utah. I have it subscribed to Property Alerts just so I can see what's going on with it. We bought it for $170. It went up to, I sold it for $200.
Yeah,
it's now up to $275.
Yeah, and but what year did you buy it?
Well, just 3-4 years ago. But my point is, an area that had seen just a little bit of growth in Utah is now exploding with people leaving.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to counteract this really quick with why I love California. Okay, and then we're going to move on to talk about our local nonprofit, and then we're going to bring on the Property Sisters. But I'm going to tell you this: California established our state constitution as a slave-free state. Before there were whispers of Lincoln, before Lincoln was talking about the Civil War, California had already established a constitution outside of the recognition of Congress by deciding that we were going to be a slave-free state. That is a powerful movement in and of itself. To this day, California is the only state to have established a constitution under a general without being recognized by Congress. We are typically people that love to rise above control. We are people that despise big government, and yet our local government officials are acting like we love them, like they're the solution to all of our problems. And I could tell you that you're not. You're hurting more than you are helping. You need to get out of our way and let California's innovation move us forward. We have great minds out here. We have more self-made millionaires than any other state. There is still opportunities in the streets. And what government should be involved in is things like making sure that we have water. Why are we still suffering from droughts in a state that is right next to an ocean? You have Israel leading the way in desalinization and making friends out of enemies with what they're able to do. Why can't we send some of that water inland? And I can tell you that when we can turn our state more green and we can get involved in the right kind of agriculture, the right kind of jobs will be here. We can stop being worried about who our neighbors are going to be, and we can start embracing a love-based economy and not a fear-based economy. But that's going to involve you getting involved locally and finding local answers and local solutions.
Speaking of local, our nonprofit of the week is Help Hill Veterans. And they're right here in French Valley, right here off of Benton and Winchester. They've been around since 1971. I was kind of surprised to see that. And they help provide kits, like craft kits, to injured veterans and hospital-bound veterans. It helps with fine motor skills, cognitive skills, stress management, PTSD symptoms, and so much more. So they've been around for almost 50 years. They operate right here locally. And if you want to get involved, you guys can stop by anytime, help heal veterans. So it's a great nonprofit.
For those of us that have been driving down Benton, every day for the last 4 or 5 years and have seen that building there off to the right that says Help Heal Vets on the side of it, that's where they're located.
Yeah.
They're getting involved in not just the fight to help heal veterans physically, but emotionally as well. And of course, we know that is just as big of a part of the fight is healing what is inside.
Yeah, I think it's healvets.org. They've got their big thing up on the wall. So if you want to get involved or check it out, it's been around for a long time, and they seem to do a lot of really great things for the veteran community. So I would check it out.
Okay. All right. Our special guest for the day
was just doing the floss.
Were they doing the floss?
Is that a challenge? I mean,
we haven't
Zach
brought him on
I don't
yet.
think you want to go there with me.
Slow down, Zach. Take
Slow
a deep
down.
breath here again.
Let me introduce these ladies.
The Property Sisters. Go for it, Kate.
So the Property Sisters of the High Desert. We will bring you guys on in just a minute. So I have known Jackie Collins for about 15 years. She's a realtor, a mother, a wife. She works with her sister, Kathy Zarati, and they run a real estate team together. They have just established this. So Kathy she's a fitness champion, business degree. She has worked with developing agents with Century 21 for a long time. They have over 10 years of real estate experience. They're awesome. And they're a special guest today. So let's bring on the Property Sisters.
Here we go. Well, hey, ladies, welcome. Property Sisters.
Are we in the shot? I can't see from here.
Yes.
Okay.
Hey everyone, how's it going?
How are you guys?
So it's going to be some tricky camera work. We're going to be bouncing kind of back and forth here. But first off, can you kind of tell us who you guys are and what area you serve out there in the High Desert?
Absolutely. So we are from the High Desert area, which is okay, so the way we have to explain this to most people is on your way to Vegas, you would pass Barstow, correct? So we are actually in the whole Victorville area. We cover Oak Hills to Hesperia, Apple Valley. So the main landmark that people remember is Barstow. So if you remember Barstow, that's like the whole area, the High Desert area that we cover.
Tell me a little bit about your team and what you guys. Oh, here we go, Zach.
There we go.
Zach is always expanding my technological horizons out here.
I love it.
The Property Sisters. So, what got you guys into real estate?
Well, it started before real estate. I was a nurse, a single mom, and I was limited on how I can be a mother to my kids.
Yeah.
And I was finding myself working extra hours versus putting that time in with my family. What moves me, my why. And I was about to take a job in LA and travel more hours, be away, longer hours away from my kids, and have my mother watch my girls more instead of me.
Here's the little one right here.
You know what? I heard that, and I love that your kids are there. We work from home. It's a big part of who we are, and so we've always got the baby here. But right now, Papa Glenn, Kate's dad,
here.
is here.
Oh, that's awesome.
And that's why you don't hear Ryan.
So you'll probably see Jaden. This is Jaden. She's
Hi, Jaden.
offering me a tomato right here. So she's this is Jaden. This is the little bit of the where my eyes are glazing right now. This is the,
Well, it's very nice to meet your why and to say hello to your why. So it started there, and then what does it develop into?
Okay, so my mother told me, Jackie, your dad needs help because we're all in real estate. It started with my dad, our dad, and she said, why don't you just help your dad out for the summer instead of getting this job in LA? And I thought, I don't know if I want to do this, but okay, let's give it a try. I gave it a try, fell in love, and eventually I let my nursing license expire because I didn't plan on going back. So from there, it's just been taking off since then.
So dynamic.
myself.
Go ahead, Kathy.
And the reason why, so I was actually in Seattle. So after I completed my BA degree in business marketing, I was in Seattle, and I was out there for work. So my job moved me to Seattle, and I was there for almost a year. And I came to that point where I was great at sales, but managing a team in sales is very difficult. People can't necessarily, it kind of had its challenges as far as rejection goes. I mean, we all know that in sales. And once I basically came to my peak, I knew that my dad was in real estate, and he was doing a phenomenal job. Like, he just retired from UPS, and he was doing a great job. Already in his first year, he was already the second best in his office at Century 21 Desert Rock. And I saw his success, and I was like, you know what? I'm great at sales, and I'm great at customer service. And we have that we just have that in our DNA. We just love to help people and service people. So
I think
I said, you know what?
part of it too, is that when you're doing it to help people, and that's what so many of us, we get involved in it because we like helping people.
Exactly.
We like helping people. And then it gets overcomplicated when we start comparing ourselves to others and talking about numbers and all this different stuff. So you love helping people. You get into the family business. I think a lot of people deny that inner real estate agent because they don't want to follow mom and dad into the business. So you're working with dad. Are you working with dad at this point, the two of you?
That's kind of what happened. We didn't want to be under his umbrella. So,
Dad, you inspired me, Dad, but your umbrella no longer. Our own umbrella.
We utilized what we learned off of him so that we can format it to what's more us.
Yeah.
Because we have a different flavor than my dad. My dad's very old school, very classic realtor, your common realtor. We just wanted to add a little flavor to what we do.
Yes.
Yeah.
You guys are so dynamic. You guys have been around for a long time. You know what you're doing. You guys are both bilingual. You guys service the Spring Valley Lake area phenomenally. I've seen all your marketing. I've seen all your branding. It's fantastic. What you guys are doing with your clients is great. You have great video. So you guys really have a strong presence in the desert. It's very obvious.
So are you guys is it English and Dutch or?
No, Spanish.
Okay.
You guys both speak Spanish.
Please.
Language, I believe, for both of you.
So Jackie, she is very bilingual. I mean, we both actually, we completed 1 year in Mexico.
Yeah.
We actually studied in Mexico.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. So we both went to school. We did the math, everything. We language arts. I mean, you name it.
They have 14 subjects. It's
14 subjects. Okay.
It's 14 subjects.
It was a lot. It was actually way more difficult, way more advanced, honestly, than my college work that I had to do.
Yeah.
All my college homework. I mean, honestly, I did so much in my first grade.
I'm really Kate and I have been talking about it. I failed Spanish all 3 times. I never got past Spanish 1, and then they actually put me in Spanish -1, which I didn't realize that was a class. They invented it for me. But people, because my last name's Serpa, and because I'm Portuguese, we're Spanish. People assume that I speak Spanish or that I speak. So they come at me and they start talking to me, and I'm sort of like. So I need to at least learn how to speak real estate Spanish so that I could get by, because I think that, first off, being a member of Southern California, I just feel like you're cutting yourself off to so much of humanity by not knowing that second language. So I picked up the Duolingo app, and I'm like, I'm going to learn Spanish this year. And I didn't make a single other New Year's resolution other than that. And I could proudly say that still don't know how to speak any Spanish.
But it's such a valuable skill, especially in California. I know you guys use it often. I admire you for that. You guys are also involved, both of you, I believe, or if one of you is on the board of directors with NAREP, correct?
Yeah, that is correct. That would be myself.
Yes, I saw that.
It's the first, we're the very first chapter to open in the high desert. So I'm very proud to be part of the very first chapter in the high desert to open up NAREP.
Yeah.
We love NAREP. David speaks. I said we love NAREP. David has spoken at several NAREP.
Awesome.
Very supportive of NAREP.
Yeah, first off, I love going out for every NAREP event because there's always great food. Second, there's always great company. no one at the NAREP events. There's not anyone who's pretending for anybody. Everyone's there to hang out. Whereas you go to every other real estate convention in the world, and everyone's sort of like trying to keep up this facade. So, anyway, so you guys got a NAREP chapter successfully off the ground, which is something I couldn't do here in Temecula with VA rep.
That's excellent. I love that. Very good.
So what's new for you guys before we wrap this up? How can people actually, you know what? How can people find you guys?
Yeah.
So you can visit us on Facebook or Instagram at the Property Sisters HD. Yes, high desert, but also high definition. So that's the reason why we do that. So it's kind of like you can get to know us more on a personal level. We're basically, we show exactly what our interests are. And we want people to feel like they are part of our family too. So that's why we did Property Sisters HD, and you can find us on Instagram and Facebook. So
go ahead, Kate.
I said you guys have a brand new office, right? It's Century 21 Rose Realty, right?
That is correct.
So everybody can just come find you at your office, if not on social media.
Absolutely. Yes.
Let's start with our office. That is the first place you can find us.
Come find you at work.
Yeah.
Wait, you guys work? Most people that work in real estate, they're just like, they're trying to hide behind a bunch of walls of other people that are working.
Yeah, we're working right now.
That's awesome. Well, hey, thank you guys so much for coming on the show. We'll make sure that Real Estate Network Television follows you guys, subscribes to the Property Sisters HD on YouTube, and thank you guys so much for making the time this morning.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure, and we'd like to do this again.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And one thing before you go, any New Year's resolutions from you guys this year?
Yes, absolutely. So one of our New Year's resolutions, which we already accomplished, it's been outstanding. We wanted our own private office, and 13 days into the year, we actually accomplished that. So right away, our brokers got with us, and so Michael and I, thank you so much, and Donnie Jensen, I really, really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for giving us our private office, and now we can basically have that space for our clients. We can, chat, and it's just a phenomenal feeling.
How beautiful.
Two is obviously everyone can see that our inspiration is the Property Brothers. So we have been secretly chiming in and hey, take a look at us, see what our new story is or a new post is. So we're tagging them. Who knows? Maybe we can do a segment with them.
Well, how cool would that be?
Yeah,
it would. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so congratulations on accomplishing your New Year's resolution 15 days into the year.
Yeah.
And then I hope that your next one works out just as well. You guys have a great rest of your day.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, so thank you guys so much for tuning in and watching the Property Sisters. We still got a whole bunch more show for you guys. That was our guest segment. We've been talking about politics. We've been talking about all of this different stuff. But next, the big thing that we're going to talk about is desalinization.
Yes.
Isn't that a sexy topic? No one wants to talk about desalinization, but it's one of those things that it can absolutely change the economic infrastructure of an area. We are the 5th largest economy in the world in California, the 5th largest economy in the world. Now, we have a desalinization plant currently in California. I don't know too much about it, but I can tell you that desalinization is what helps Israel establish peace in a lot of ways in that region. They're actually selling water that they're running at an 8% overage to countries that don't necessarily love them. And I can tell you that the infrastructure to any civilization throughout history that has been able to succeed has been built on their ability to sustain water.
Yeah.
To have water coming into them. If you look around anywhere in the world, you'll see aqueducts that have been created. You'll see that people were bringing water into an area. And yet we here in California are supposed to be satisfied with what is coming in from Colorado and Arizona and what's left from Nevada, while we are right next to the Pacific Ocean.
Yeah. I think one of the biggest issues with this topic, of course, is cost. It costs a lot of money to run the electricity to make this happen, to take that saline water and get it to be drinkable water, and the reverse osmosis and the electricity and the filters and removing all of the stuff that we can't drink. It's not very cost effective, but we're working towards bringing those costs down.
What's more cost efficient in a state that has a drought every 10 years? And if you look at the history of California and these droughts and what brings them, it's just the world. It's just the way that the water flows.
Yes.
And so what I'm saying is this like very basic concept that desalinization could help. And what we have right now is you have this privatization of water throughout the world that is happening. And it's not a good thing. Lake Arrowhead and their water rights sold out from underneath them with Nestle. You have the government getting involved in all sorts of things that it shouldn't be involved in, like solar, for example, like VRBO in Temecula, for example. And yet government is not involved in getting the water to flow. They're only involved in restricting it. Mm-hmm. And I can tell you why. Because in restricting water comes control. And bringing in desalinized water and working in reducing in the reuse of water through gray water, we could actually put California in a situation where we're very water rich, but we are acting like we are a water poor nation, which boggles my mind. So it's very frustrating for me. And so I look at this as something that government should be involved in. Government should be involved in desalinization. They should be involved in water. But instead, what government is involved in is control. That's why they sent solar salesmen to your door every day for the last several years. They have been trying to get you on the grid. That is why when you have solar in your house, your lights will still go off when they decide that there's going to be a rolling blackout, because it was never about getting you off the grid. It was about getting you on the grid. Desalinization, getting you off the grid, providing you with water as a human being to be able to sustain you and your family during times of droughts. Solar, electricity, government overreach, Senator Stone, the HERO program coming to Riverside County and essentially bankrupting homeowners. That was about getting you on the grid. That's why your lights go off when everybody else's lights go off. That's why you can't hack your system to take your solar and take it off of the grid. That's why you're still hit with a supplemental tax bill for your solar program.
You know, what's interesting is some big companies actually are starting to come up, and this has always been the thing. People go, well, I have solar. Why are my lights shutting off? And the reason is you're not completely off the grid. However, Tesla and a couple other companies have done it. So now you have to spend $10,000 on them, but you can get these very large batteries installed where if the blackouts happen, your lights don't shut off anymore. And when it's nighttime, you're no longer relying on the energy from the energy company. And so you could effectively cut your power.
Tesla, so there's all sorts of really fantastic things that are happening. Tesla has come out with this new solar panel that is a roof tile. Yeah. That is supposed to outlast all of these solar panels and then also be more effective with the amount of area that it's covering and way cheaper. And so we've got a really great thing that's happening with a lot of the private minds that are going to work at bringing about affordable housing, affordable electricity, and affordable alternatives. But what the state of California wants to do is they want to mandate solar. They want to make you buy solar because they know that within 5 years, solar will be incredibly affordable for your average homeowner, and they will no longer be able to sell these $20,000, $25,000 systems to you at an 8% to 11% interest rate through predatory programs like HERO. And so what I'm here to tell you is that government wants to be the answer to control solar. They don't want to be the answer when it comes to things like water, which is why they control you with water usage instead of getting involved in desalinization and sending that water inland. Every great society throughout history, every great society has funneled water to where they need it. And yet we here in California in the year 2020 don't.
We just let it run off the mountains. So interesting facts about the desalinization plant. Its output is 50 million gallons a day. 50 million gallons a day, and it actually provides the water for an estimated 7% of San Diego County. So that's one plant that does 7%. And obviously, the plant costs $1 billion.
But how much did that bullet train cost?
Exactly.
And we didn't get that.
Yeah.
And how much did all of those roads money and all those taxes that you just paid increase? Where did that money go to? And so there are basic things that we need, like water. And I can tell you that things like transportation and things like cars and roads and things like that, we all get worked up about. It was so much wasted time at Assemblywoman Melissa Melendez's town hall due to people talking about roads. I'm like, you know what? Do you know how much money the American taxpayer would save if people would fill these freaking potholes themselves? Do you know how much corruption we'd be able to cut through? Do you know how much red tape? Do you know how many solutions would be offered? But you know what? That's about money. That's about control. You were going to say something, Kate?
No, I was. I know it wasn't. It's not desalinization. I don't think. But correct me if I'm wrong here. I know we all saw the video. I know Zach and you saw it, where it was the guy who was using nanotechnology, I believe. But he ended up. Bottom line is, he took this lake that was just polluted and disgusting, and he took the time to use his knowledge that he had as a scientist and some nanotechnology, and he was able to clean this entire lake, and this entire ecosystem returned. And it was over not that long of a period of time, and he was able to do it by himself.
You can't help but think about if Lake Elsinore would get involved in cleaning up that lake. And if we could implement some of this technology to make an example out of what happens when we clean a lake. Yeah. What happens to a local economy when people can go in a lake without worrying about bacteria eating their brains?
Yeah. And then if they had vacation rentals,
we're not doing things like that. We're not doing things like that here in California. We're more interested in controlling you than we are interested in stimulating local economies.
It's funny you brought up Lake Elsinore. In the post on Temecula Talk about the banning of short-term rentals, a couple people tagged vacation rental owners in Lake Elsinore and said, hey, I know you own one in Lake Elsinore. It looks like you're about to get a lot busier.
You're next. Yeah. Well, and you're next. And you're next. See, the thing is what Lake Elsinore doesn't have, that Temecula has, is Temecula has these hotels. They have the hotel industry. And so what will happen is right now, Lake Elsinore has a lot of foreign money that's coming in. A lot of Asian investors are coming in and they're buying up portions of the lake. That lake's not going to stay dirty forever. But what's going to happen is you're going to start seeing a lot more development in Lake Elsinore. You're going to start seeing a lot more money being spent there. And with that money being spent is going to become more action taken by your local your local politicians. So don't sleep on it. If you want your local economy to continue to be stimulated, you have to make sure that you're keeping your local politicians out of it.
And Temecula has 8 more hotels coming, but they had absolutely no part in the ban.
Okay, so yeah, isn't that interesting? So Jessica Abrego said preach earlier when we were talking about whatever it was that we were getting long-winded about here with politics today.
Jessica is actually a great short-term rental manager. She manages about 9 short-term rentals. She's amazing. She puts sound ordinance devices. She puts cameras outside the house to make sure parties aren't happening. She will ban somebody. She will get somebody banned from the Airbnb platform if they constantly break the rules. She is a phenomenal Airbnb manager.
And so when you get an advocate like Jessica in your community, when you get an advocate that's out there making sure that the homeowners continue to have a good experience with these people that come in and want to temporarily stay in their neighborhood, they're making sure that the neighborhood stays clean and that they're making sure that the HOA is advocated on behalf of, because God forbid we just let people what they want to do and not try to control them. So Jessica's saying, hello, everybody. If you're interested in what we're talking about in vacation rentals and things like that, clearly Jessica's somebody that's educated in this and is somebody that is advocating on those rights. So, and also a veteran. What up, fam? Okay, Andy Flores says desalinization has been shot down by conservative folks in California for years. I can tell you why. Okay, so on the left, and this is what has happened in California. On the left, you have the big government people that want to control your life and everything that's going on in it. And then on the right, you have people that are acting like they are pro-free enterprise. But really, they're pro-government subsidies, they're pro-corportacracy, they're pro-getting the government involved in taking your money away and putting it into other people's pockets. And what's happened is we don't have a private investor at this point, like Arrowhead, like Nestle, that wants to come and buy these desalinization plants and put it into California. And I can tell you that the second that happens, we're done. The second that our water rights are controlled by a private company, we are done. We are done. We're just as done as we had ever been. So desalinization should be something that is advocated on behalf of Republicans and Democrats. But the thing is everyone is too busy towing party lines. You've got people like, I think the City of Murrieta or the City of Temecula had come out with the official proclamation against socialism. Meanwhile, taking people's money away to pay for roads, and taking people's money away to pay for healthcare, and taking people's money away to pay for schools. You have to understand that we are involved in a great deal of socialism in this country. We are involved in a great deal of taking people's money away and then spending it elsewhere. Tax revolutions have been fought. Kings have been overthrown over much less than 10% of an income being taken away. And 30, 40, 50% of someone's income taken away and then spent on garbage, because we're not auditing California, should instead be spent on something that can be income producing for the state. Holy crap. And people say the state shouldn't be involved in income producing activities. Why have we privatized the prison systems? Why have we privatized the money making systems while leaving the other ones to the wayside? I'm telling you, water is going to be the next revolution that needs to be fought. It is going to happen quietly under your nose. Your rights are going to be sold out from underneath you. If we as Californians do not get involved in getting better stuff advocated for and passed through legislation, and then hold our lawmakers accountable for actually making sure that that legislation gets signed into law. Too often in California, we vote. We draw up legislation. California voters come out and they speak. Legislation is passed, and then it doesn't get signed into law. It ends up on the ballot again 8 years later. And what's happening is special interests are outspending the people for their special interest. And so California is in a situation where we're being sold out to the special interest. We're being sold out to the highest bidder. We're being sold out to the corporatocracy. And what we need to do is we need to embrace the certain aspects of socialism that we have within California, within every government in America. And we have to embrace the federalism that comes with breaking from the federal overarching, or the big government, and saying local government can offer solutions. State government can offer solutions. County can offer solutions. But instead we continue to pass the buck. And so the California voter has become disenfranchised. They become disenchanted. They're leaving the state. They're giving up. And so that is why we need to return to common sense here in California. We need to understand the words that inspired the revolution that Thomas Paine inked before the 13 colonies were really united as one to overthrow the tyranny by the British government. Unless you all really enjoy tyranny. Okay, so thank you all so much for tuning in. We've got Jessica. She's an Air Force veteran. We love our veterans here on the Wednesday Wake Up. So here, a little recap. Oh, you know what? The business of so there's a great book out there. It's called The New Confessions of an Economic Hitman, and it's has been eye-opening for me because up until a certain point, I saw a lot in my time in the military. New Confessions of And I'm trying to just spell this out, God help me, an economic hitman. Okay, so during my time in the military, I saw a lot of bull crap. Okay, and there's no other way to put that. I saw poppy fields and I saw heroin being harvested and grown right next to a military base. It was frustrating for me. I felt like there was too much moral ambiguity that was being put out by Americans. We were showing up in this country. We were telling them how they could and could not live their lives. And then I was being told, as the young man in the Marine Corps, leave the opium alone. Do not burn these fields. These are the way that people are making their money. And so you have to understand, you need to follow the dollar. You need to follow the opium. Where is it going? Is it going south through Pakistan? Is it lining all these palms and greasing all these pockets along the way? Is it funding the terrorists that we are fighting against? And so when you start to follow the dollar, you start to see that government is much more involved in the winning or the pickers of winners and losers than we act like we are. When you look at what is happening in Iran, when you look at what has happened historically in Iran, when you look at Ecuador and Panama, when you look at everything that happened in Cuba, you understand that the government has been involved in a lot more than we act like we have been involved in. And there's been a shift from the government wearing their heart on their sleeve and saying, yes, we're with the government and we're here to help, which, God help us anyway, to not we're with the government, but we're with private contractors. But now there are more private contractors in Iraq than there are military troops in Iraq. What has happened? Why are we so involved? Why are there so many people being paid that we cannot wear our intentions on our sleeves as a country and say, this is what we are doing, this is why we are here, this is who is here, and this is what we are spending. But instead, we have thrown that sort of common sense to the wayside. And because of it, we have not become like Thomas Paine, fighting the revolution, sparking people to fight against the oppressive government. We have become the people who are helping to fund the oppressive governments all over the world. It's unfortunate. When I enlisted and I took my oath of enlistment, and I took that seriously, and I love the Marine Corps, and I love the Marines. I hate the way that we are being used as pawns in this game. I hate the way that we are being used as pawns for votes. I enlisted a little bit later than a lot of people would have enlisted. The war had drug on in Afghanistan, and I thought as an able-bodied man at 23 years old, if I was an advocate for the war, and I believed in the war, I should serve. And so I enlisted. There were men going on their second and third tours that had done so much. As somebody that believed in what I was doing, I decided that I would go. And I learned that there weren't people there saying, I want to stay here and win. I want this, I want that. There were people that were frustrated. There were families being broken, and there were warriors that were coming back broken, spiritually, mentally, physically. Follow the dollar. Read the New Confessions of an Economic Hitman. Study great revolutionaries like Thomas Paine, like Malcolm X, like George Washington. We've been sold this lie that George Washington was this peaceful guy, that he was this great advocate and great speaker that stirred up and roused the troops and preached about all of these different things. But George Washington was a violent man who sailed across a river on Christmas morning to kill a bunch of men while they were sleeping because he knew what was right for him and his countrymen. We took an oath of enlistment. We decided to fight against all enemies, foreign and domestic. My friends, we have enemies domestic. We have enemies right here on our soil, here in California, that are benefiting financially off of the breaking of good men and women. And then our police and our first responders are being used as pawns, but they're not being heard. Because if we truly listened to our police and first responders, we would hear a different story than the brass up top that is too afraid of losing their jobs than they are to speak up about what is right. Be careful, my friends. It's a slippery slope. And we're on it right here in California. Okay. Desalinization. It's the way of the future. I really believe it. I really believe it. You could either get behind it or you can have a private company own your water rights here in California to that big fat lake that just needs to be desalinized. That's rising anyway, right? It's rising anyway, right? Well, then we better figure out how to funnel that water inland. That's it. That's it from me today. That's it from the Serpa Soapbox. Okay, so I'm going to do a little show recap. We had a very politically charged show today. The show, of course, I said at the very beginning, should come with a trigger warning. We have opinions here on the Wednesday Wake Up Live, and we're going to have them. We're going to express them because we are not on the team. We are not being sponsored by anyone. So I encourage you to watch the show from the beginning. Hot damn, it was heated. Subscribe to the Real Estate Network Television on YouTube. Like this page on Facebook. We talked about real estate horror stories. We want you to send those in. Our nonprofit of the week, Help Heal Veterans, right here in Winchester off of Benton Road. Come check them out. They're doing a lot of great things for the mind, body, and soul of veterans. CCW Permits in Murrieta accompanied a 1% sales tax increase. But you know what? Murrieta's not too upset about it. There's a lot of people pretty excited about those gun laws. New Air BNB laws in Temecula got passed. Big government, City Temecula, decided that they wanted to stick their hands where it doesn't belong, into your homeowners' rights. So understand exactly who it is that you have representing you. It might be time for a massive overhaul of our local government. And then we talked about our property sisters out there in the high desert. Check them out on YouTube, Property Sisters HD, and all of the good things that they're doing. Talked about desalinization and what is happening with California economically, and of course, what we can do to save it. Holy smokes, it was a very long and complicated show, but it was fire. I enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed it. And I hope that if you did enjoy it, that you'll encourage other people to watch this show. Share it out. We're not getting paid for our opinions, which means that the show's going to get buried unless you share it out. Everybody, this is the moment where I'm going to encourage you, if you were watching on YouTube, if you're watching on Facebook, to hit the like button. But if you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and check out our playlist for the Wednesday Wake Up Live. Check out our playlist for the open house show, and check out our playlist for the VA home show. Subscribe to Real Estate Network Television, where you can get all three and more every week. And thank you again for watching this show.
And as Jackson says on his YouTube channel, don't forget to ring that notification bell. Have you seen Jackson's YouTube channel?
I haven't.
No, I'm so torn on these children and their YouTube channels.
Topic for next
Our
week.
kids are just, they want to have their YouTube channel, and there's all these kids on YouTube that are freaking millionaires. But I think that we're encouraging our kids to put out the red light a little bit too early before they know who they are foundationally.
Let's hold
And I think it's dangerous.
I'd say this could be a good topic.
Okay, maybe that'll be a topic for next week. We'll talk about God, all this crazy things coming to YouTube. Everybody, we're going long. I love you guys. Have a great day. Tune in next week to the Wednesday Wake Up Live and all that good stuff. Watch this one from the beginning. It was pure fire.
Have a good week, everybody.